Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, to the 12th episode of season one of the Franchise Hours. And we are very happy to welcome you again. And with me is Shey Lumbes, our uh, marketing manager, and she will be talking about marketing, about selling a franchise. And I will be talking with you about developing a franchise and developing your business into a franchise. So I will be the first speaker for the day, and I make this full screen. So to give you a little bit of background of myself, I was born in Vienna, Austria. I'm an HRM graduate and franchising since 1978. Started with a certain big food company way back 40 plus years ago, and then joined the hotel chain as the franchise director. So practically since graduation, I am in the franchise business. When I came to the Philippines, I founded RK Franchise Consultancy and developing companies. And so far, we developed more than 700 companies into franchise system. This presentation is copyrighted, and any use of the slides and the content without the written permission of the copyright owner, me, Rudolf Kotik, and RK Franchise Consultancy is not allowed. So let me talk generally about franchising. Legally, every franchisee is an independent entity. The franchisor controls the products and services that the franchisee are permitted to sell. So a franchisee cannot just add something or take out something. The franchise also controls the operating assets, goods and services utilized by the franchisee. And this is done through the procurement program. A procurement program are the list of the authorized suppliers and supplies from where the franchisee has to purchase. Then, of course, we talk of the grant of exclusive or protected territory. So every franchisee gets a territory. And we talk of an exclusive relationship, meaning to say your franchisees are not allowed to have any other business which is competing with the franchisees. And of course, franchisees have to secure also their own location. All right. Let's talk about trade trademarks. First of all, every franchisee needs a trade. Every franchisor needs a trademark when he goes into the business of franchising. This is very important, and this is awarded by the Intellectual Property Office. And this is used, the trademark is used to differentiate the goods and services which can be expressed in a word, a group of words or services, a sign, symbol, logo, a 3D container, or a combination of these. A trademark is any visible sign capable of distinguishing the goods or services of an enterprise and shall be included in the stamped or marked container of goods. In other words, a signage. Section 38 of Republic Act 166A. So, if you have a business permit from the TTI or a business or a registration with the SEC, this is actually not allowed to engage into franchising. The TTI only gives you the permission to use the name by yourself. Also, the SEC just gives you the permit to use the name and also to regulate the ownership of the corporation. But this is not enough to engage into franchising. For that purpose, you need a trademark. Okay. So they should have distinctive characters. A trademark may be united wholly or one or more specific colors, and a color combination may become the distinctive character of the particular mark. And of course, a trademark should be preferably an invented word because generic words cannot be registered. The best trademark are invented words. For example, Lux for soap, Mercedes for cars, Levi's, Parkas, etc. A trademark, if it is a word or a name, then it should be easy to pronounce and easy to be remembered and also easy to be spelled by the public and written legibly. And it should be also pleasing to the eye. So these are components of the trademark. Here we have it, the importance of the trademark. So first of all, it grants exclusivity to the trademark owner. It generates goodwill. It gains recognition and reputation. Okay. So a trademark can be a marketing tool. It can be used for franchising and licensing out. It can be also as a collateral. A lot of banks in other countries, unfortunately not in the Philippines, you can use your trademark as a collateral for a loan. And you can sell it for value. You can assign and transfer your trademark if you sell your business. So you can actually ask for more money, or the trademark might be more worth than the actual business. An example is when India sold Manginasal. The majority of the money he got paid for it was for the trademark, not for the actual operation. Here we have some examples. So the wordmark Jollibee as a wordmark, the symbol of the bee, or a combination like Meralco. Meralco has the wordmark and the symbol together. It can also be a slogan. Okay. Geographically, we have three types of franchises what you can avoid. First of all, the unit franchise. By unit franchise, we understand the rights of one contract, one outlet. All right. Unlike an area franchise, which by area franchise, as you say, you award the whole territory, covers a geographical territory. It can be a province, a city, a portion of it, up to a region. The franchise may be required to follow a development program, meaning to say they have to open a certain number of outlets in a certain period of time and be open in that time in order for the franchisee not to lose the area. When it comes to the franchise agreements, the unit franchise usually is 5 to 10 years. If it's lower than 3 years, it's a scam. So the minimum is 3 years for a unit franchise agreement. For an area franchise, it starts practically at 5 up to 20 years. The master franchise, we talk of the rights to a whole country. So not only a city, not only a region, but to a whole country. Again, depends on the size of the country. There will be a development program on how many outlets in what period of time the franchisee, the master franchisee, has to open. The length of the agreements are usually not lower than 10 years as the absolute minimum. All the foreign brands which are operating in the Philippines, for example, they have 20 to 25 years master franchise agreements. So, very important also that you have as a franchise or a franchise disclosure information. This is what you give to your applicants once you have approved them as an applicant. This is required by the TTI and the Peru Order 1024 from 2010. And this entails the company details, let's say like a menus, if it's a restaurant, or the services, the product lists, the initial investment for the franchise and the projected P&L, a copy of the trademark, and the association membership. A franchisor has to be a member of at least one of the three associations in the Philippines. This is in alphabetical order: AFI, FIFA, and PFA. So they have to be a member of at least one of the three associations. And then also there has to be the list of the company and the franchise outlets and a copy of the Memorandum of Agreement and the franchise agreement. I'll explain you a franchise agreement. We tailor the franchise agreement so it can be anything from 25 pages to 50 pages. Depends on operational requirements for a franchisee. Now, first of all, we talk about the appointment and the franchise fee, how much they have to pay during the contract signing. Then the term and the renewal clause. I find it very important that every franchise agreement has a renewal clause. Because if they don't have a renewal clause at the end of the contract, there might be problems between franchisor and franchisee about the terms and conditions of the renewal. So better to already incorporate them in the original contract. This is what we do. We incorporate the renewal clause in the original contract so that franchisor and franchisee are aware if the franchisee is entitled to a renewal and also how much he will have to pay for the renewal. Then we talk about the facility location, the equipment, the fixtures and the furnitures, training. Training per se is part of the franchise fee. What is not part of the franchise fee when it comes to training is, let's say, like you get a franchise in a different city. So transportation, lodging, even the hiring process is not part of it. Franchisee hires, franchisor trains. Okay. And then when it comes to training, only the initial training is part of the franchise fee. But initial means also if it's at a later stage, the first time it's still part of the franchise fee. But if it's a repeat training, meaning to say a franchisee has a new set of staff which needs to be trained by the franchisor, then the franchisor can charge for that service. The proprietary marks, we understand also the trademark. It's actually a different name for the trademark because the proprietary mark is proprietary. The trademark is proprietary to the franchisor. Therefore, we call it proprietary marks. The confidential operations manual, of course, is a separate entity, but the rules on how to use it is in the franchise agreement. And also, in case the franchisee loses it, then of course he has to pay for that. Modification of the system is also important. So if in case franchisee changes something, adds another menu or a new equipment or has a specific marketing campaign, then franchisees have to follow that. Okay. Advertising wise, franchisee have to follow with any of the four schemes a franchisor may have. This includes the opening when they open it, general opening, marketing, and then the local store marketing, co-op advertisement, and national advertisement fund. I'll explain that later. I have separate slides for that. The royalty fee, whatever is applicable, accounting and records, the standards of quality and performance, and the operating assistance given by the franchisor. The operating assistance by the franchisor is also part of the training and assistance by franchisor, what we have here in the slides, training and assistance by franchisor, because once the franchisor opens his outlet, a representative from the franchisor will be with the franchisee when the franchisee opens his outlet. Okay? If that one is again from a different city, the franchisor can charge for the transportation and the lodging of the representative of the franchisor who will be sent to do the opening assistance. Also, any kind of insurance the franchisor may require the franchisee is specified in the contract. The covenants clause, we understand the exclusivity. Exclusive since the franchisee is not allowed to compete with himself and the franchisor for the entire duration of the contract and 2 years after. Then all the reasons why a franchisee can be default and be terminated. Normally, we don't immediately terminate a franchisee. What we do with them is we have a process called curing. We send them a notice to cure. And the franchisee has to straighten out whatever he screws up within 10 days. If the curing period was successful, then life goes on as if nothing happened. If it was not, then the franchisor can take over and cure it by himself, even charge the franchisee for that, and then return it to the franchisee. Worst case scenario would be, of course, termination. And then again, we have the rights and duties of parties upon termination. That includes a franchisee is not allowed to continue the same business in the same location. If it's his location, he can convert it to any other kind of business, but not the same what the franchisee and the franchisor are operating. Okay. Also, he is not allowed to use the logo anymore. So actually, the signage becomes property of the franchisor because it's his trademark. So there are a lot of restrictions for a franchisee if he has been terminated. If a franchisee is no longer interested to operate it, he can sell it. We call that the transferability of interest in the franchise agreement. This goes as follows. A franchisee has to find their own buyer. If they found one, they have to introduce the buyer to the franchisor. If the franchisor approves the buyer, then the deal can go on and they will sign the transfer release agreement, etc., etc. Also, in case if the franchisee dies or is permanently incapacitated, then the franchisor can give the franchisee the rights or the heirs to either operate it or to sell it in accordance with the transferability rules. The franchisor has always the right of first refusal. Other legal agreements we are using are the Memorandum of Agreement, which is a pre-contract to the franchise agreement. So before we sign a franchise agreement, we sign a Memorandum of Agreement. In particular, very important if the franchise facility is in a shopping mall. Second, the agreement with the landlord. The agreement with the landlord is between the landlord, the franchisor, and the franchisee to secure the location for the franchisor in case the franchisee screws up with either the landlord or franchisor. Not applicable in SM or in most other malls. The guaranteed assumption of obligation, we use that if the franchise is awarded as a gift, then we let the sponsor sign a guarantee and assumption of obligation. And the transfer and release agreement is, as I said earlier, is used when the franchisee sells his business. So this is between the franchisor, the franchisee, and the purchasee, the one who's buying the franchise from the original franchisee. And he actually can only operate the remaining balance of the contract. So if it was, let's say, a 6-year contract, and after 3 years, the original franchisee sells, the new franchisee can only operate the remaining 3 years plus any renewal, as in the renewal clause. So you may have a business, is your business franchisable? It should be in operation for at least 1 year, or is beyond the trial and error stage, or has achieved its payback period. It has to be able to be copied according to a system. And the enterprise has to be proven profitable, because if it's not, it doesn't make sense franchising it. It has to have also credibility to its clients. There has to be a need for the business in other places. So don't franchise your business if you don't have a prototype, or if your business is failing, if it depends too much on yourself, if gross margins are very small, products are a fad, if the skills levels are too high that you cannot train it within 3 months, and if you're doing it, the development by yourself instead of hiring a professional consultant like RK Franchise Consultancy. Especially, you need a prototype for at least one outlet for 3 reasons. Because you need it to show it off, you need it for training and also for research and development. So you cannot franchise out a business if you don't have an actual prototype. Okay? All right. So what are the advantages of being a franchisor? You receive franchise fees. Every time you sell a franchise, you can collect franchise fee and you can do with the money actually whatever you want to do as a franchisor. Same with the royalties. These are very legit income sources of a franchisor. And you can gain a little bit also from selling to the franchisees. There you have to be very sensitive as a franchisor, that the franchisee gets a very good deal from you if you're the supplier to them. So they won't get it cheaper somewhere else. Okay? And of course, you can expand the brand at the speed you want to grow. My clients, I have some who are happy if they have a franchisee every 5 years. And I have franchisees I have franchisors who open a franchise outlet every week. It really depends. Same also with the territories. I have clients who live in a shell. They only want to franchise in their territory, on the island. It's like in Mindanao. I have a lot of clients in Mindanao who only franchise in Mindanao. They don't want to go to Visayas. That's fine. And I have other clients who want to conquer the world. I have one client who has more franchisees outside the Philippines than inside the Philippines, but they're local company. Okay, and in growing, you use OPM, other people's money, and the franchisor. Of course, you will be less directly involved in the operation since the franchisee is the one taking care of the day-to-day operation. Besides of that, you can leverage on the recognized brand name. Like I said earlier, when India sold his business to Jollibee, he got a hell of a money because of the brand name, because of the trademark, more than for the stores, which were actually franchised from where he collected the franchise fee. And of course, it enhances your business image. It also can ensure that you have consistent quality in your operation. And if the more outlets you have and you have a central commissary, for example, you can attain higher productivity, therefore can work on economies of scales, and also you reduce the risk of failure. And the stronger your brand is, the better locations you also get in malls and in commercial establishments. So, why do franchisors ask for royalties? So, if you're a franchisor, this is the reason why you charge a royalty to your franchisees: for the continuation use of the trademark, for the continuation assistance by franchisor, for the franchisor to be there whenever the franchisee needs it. Today, this is no big deal. Everybody has cell phone, everybody has apps, so there's no problem communicating today. And it's always payable monthly and based on gross sales. Gross sales in the Philippines means, in franchising, total sales minus tax, minus senior citizen discounts, school discounts, minus the if for delivery, minus the service charges of the third-party delivering companies. How much has to be charged as royalty? Normally, in the retail franchise, there is no royalty if 100% of the merchandise comes from the franchisor. In the drugstore and in the bake shop business, they have the lowest royalties traditionally. Food franchises normally go like restaurants, 3 to 6%. In the service franchises like salons, we usually use fixed continuation fees instead of a royalty. Okay, so they are paying regardless of sales. The franchisee will pay the same amount every month. And the education sector has the highest royalty because they provide curriculums to the franchisees every year. And also they don't have any renewal fee when they renew the franchises. So they automatically renew without fee. But in exchange, they have a higher royalty compared to the other sectors. Advertisement wise, there are four schemes franchisor require to be participated. Not all have all four, okay? Most of them have the grand opening marketing. So this is a certain amount the franchisee spends by himself because they spend it in their territory and not pay to the franchisor. Same with the local store marketing. This is the continuous promotion by the franchisee within his territory. A co-op advertisement can be, for example, if there are 5 franchisees in Bulacan and they have a billboard along NLEX. So these 5 franchisees will shoulder the billboard. National Advertisement Fund is the only one which is operated by the franchisor. Of course, only companies which already working on a national scale will need a National Advertisement Fund. So if they have already outlets, practically Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. If they need TV, radio, broadsheets, or bigger internet activities, then all the outlets, company owned and franchised, will pay into the National Advertisement Fund. So, what has to be done to develop actually a company into a franchise professionally? First of all, a franchise structure. In the case of RK Franchise Consultancy, it's me who is doing that. I'm Rudolf Kotik. And we are doing, and I'm the one calculating the franchise fees and the royalties, the length of the agreement, investment package, the payback period, and the required space needed. Because here comes my 40 years of experience in franchising, and we developed 800 brands. So this comes well in handy in structuring a franchise. Then we have a franchisor manual, which is a guide for franchisors on how they find franchises, how they select them, how they treat them, and a lot of information what they can use in being a franchisor. Also, we provide operations manuals to our franchisors, which includes sub manuals. Actually, we assign one of our business developers to them, and then they will be the one to actively do the operations manual, which is broken down in the pre-opening manual, administrative manual, specialty manuals, let's say like kitchen manual if it's a restaurant, or service protocol if it's a salon, the operating standard manual, training manual, and forms and reports. All in all, a minimum of 400 pages. Most cases, way, way more than that. Then the legal documentation, like I explained already, franchise agreement. This can also be the franchise agreement for unit franchises, area franchises, and master franchises, and the side agreements. The agreement for the landlord, the guarantee assumption, the transfer and release agreement, etc., etc. All the legal aspects, what is needed. So usually around 5 to 15 contracts, whatever is required for a particular franchise. Marketing wise, we design also the franchise brochure, the franchise marketing kit, the franchise disclosure, and the franchise website. We also host all our clients their website free of charge as long as they are operating in franchise.ph. Other assistance we're giving includes we're helping our clients with the trademarks, uh, marketing assistance. When they have applicants, we help them, especially to begin. All our clients become also member of FIFA. We give lifelong after service. We feature them in the franchise.ph magazine. We have the franchise magazine. We give office assistance in Manila for our provincial clients, and we have yearly membership meetings. Alternative business forms, what we use also, beside of business format franchising, are licensing arrangements. A license, the difference between a franchise and a licensing arrangement. In a franchise, we have 100% uniformity. Everything is 100% the same. So uniform, looks, feel, everything, products, everything the same. In the licensing arrangement, we use just a transfer of technology. So it's only a certain portion of the business which is licensed out. Okay. Then the gasoline stations, we have like Phoenix Petroleum among our clients, or Mars Fuel, Power Fill, Flex Fuel, uh, Blue Energy, etc., etc. All of these gasoline stations are packaged like a franchise, but in reality, in the contract, they're a dealership. Okay, and we also do distributorship arrangements, especially for the cosmetic industry and other companies who are doing distributorship on a two-level activity. So for the distributor and then the reseller. All right. Okay. And if you're interested, you can have a copy of my book all about franchising. And therefore, I'm done with my presentation about developing a franchise. And I'm welcoming now my marketing manager, Shey Lumbes. Shey, please do your presentation about buying a franchise.
All right, just to make sure you're seeing my screen right now, sir. Sir,
It's on the screen. Yes, you can go
it's
ahead.
working? Okay.
Yes, you can go ahead.
All right, so before I start, I would like to thank everybody for attending our last episode of this year webinar. So I'm going to talk about how to select a franchise. And before I actually begin with my presentation, I would like to introduce first again myself. I'm Shey Lumbes, and I'm the marketing manager of RK Franchise Consultancy. And I'm going to start now. Okay, so this presentation is copyrighted by RK Franchise Consultancy, and any use of the slides and their content without the written permission of the copyright owner, which is RK Franchise Consultancy, is not allowed and will be prosecuted. Okay, to begin with, I just have to give you again a quick definition of what franchising is. Although na-discuss na siya ni Sir RK kanina, but I'm going to repeat it again. So basically, franchising is the most successful business system in the world. Okay, yet the vast majority of people, including many who are involved in this segment, doesn't have a true understanding of what franchising really is. So franchising is a special type of licensing arrangement for the distribution of services and products wherein the franchisor, so pag sinabi natin franchisor, ito yung diniscuss ni Sir RK kanina, siya yung nagpapa-franchise. Okay? The franchisor allows another entity, the franchisee, which who we're going to buy a business franchise or kung sino yung magpa-franchise, to use their business system, trademarks, and corporate identity for a certain period of time. Okay, the franchisee, on the other hand, purchases someone else's experience, expertise, and method of doing the business and does not have to go through the pain of a startup company. Okay, so a lot of you will be asking or are asking what you need to do before actually buying a franchise. First of all, you have to be financially ready. Okay, so when we say financially ready, of course, money is involved. Okay, no one will give you a free franchise, not unless you're a brand ambassador or you're artista. Okay, so in buying a franchise, you have to have a money. Okay, and by being financially ready means you have to know what are the possible expenses that you need to have in buying a franchise. Okay, most common mistakes of franchise buyers will only look into the franchise fee rather than the capital investment. Okay, so in buying a franchise, you have to make sure that you know actually you also know actually the capital investment, not just on the not just the franchise fee. Okay, so pag sinabi nating be financially ready, kailangan alam mo yung mga possible expenses. There is a franchise fee. So pag sinabi nating franchise fee, this is only the value of your trademark. Okay, value of the brand name, and then we also have payments for royalty fees and continuation fees, which is na-discuss ni Sir RK kanina. And then, yung pinaka-importante is you have to be prepared with the capital investment. Pag sinabi natin capital investment, ito yung total amount of money that you need to shell out in order for you to franchise a business, okay? You have to look into the capital investment, and what you need to consider also is yung magiging rent natin, especially if you will be renting a space or a certain location. Okay, in a capital investment, normally hindi pa po kasama si rent. Why? Because it will vary kung saan mo gustong i-put up yung franchise business mo. There's actually a difference in the rentals if it's inside the mall, for example, or even outside the mall. Okay, so by being financially ready, you also have to know your interests. Okay, so by knowing your interests, ano ba yung gusto mong i-franchise as a franchisee? Are you looking into buying a food franchise? So pag sinabi natin food franchise, ano ba to? Food cart ba to? Cafe? Restaurants? So you have to know, okay? So if you're into a non-food franchise, anong klaseng non-food franchise? Are you looking into buying a service company, a gasoline station, for example? So by knowing your interest, it is important also to know how much are you willing to spend. Okay, so babalik na naman tayo dun sa be financially ready kasi how much are you willing to spend for a franchise? At kaya mo ba maglabas ng let's say 300,000 for a cart, let's say 800,000 for a cafe, and 1 million for a restaurant? Okay, so by knowing your interest, next is we have to examine the opportunities. Okay, so when we say examine the opportunities, in RK Franchise Consultancy kasi we are receiving franchise inquiries, okay? And we request or we actually allow them to attend our All About Franchising seminar kasi it's really important na bago ka bumili ng franchise, you have to know or at least meron kang idea what All About Franchising is. Being a franchisee, and of course, being a franchisor, since bibili ka din ng franchise. So by examining the opportunities, I am inviting everyone to attend a seminar. So mostly may mga schedules naman po kaming binibigay. So it's really important for you to attend the seminar. Okay? So giving you the franchising types by demand and supply, we have here 60% is food. Okay? Mas malaki pa rin yung percentage ng food compared to other franchises. So pag sinabi natin food, it can be restaurants, again, cafes, food carts, or food kiosks, for example. Okay, on the 15%, we have the vanity salon. Vanity section, I mean. So pag sinabi natin vanity, all what has to do with beautification. Okay, like salon, spas, and even beauty products. So on the 10%, we have the health. So health, for sure, meron naman kayong idea dun sa health franchises. We have the drugstores, we have the laboratories, and even gym, okay, are available then to franchise. 5% is on the retail store. So pag sinabi natin retail, pwedeng bookstores, pwedeng hardwares, pwede din usually yung ibang mga cellphone accessories is also part of this. Okay, on the 4%, we have the B's franchises. So pag sinabi natin B's franchises, these are internet cafes and even pawn shops. Okay. On the 3%, we have the education business. So pag education business, it can be TESDA regulated or even tutorials. And then other 3%, meron tayong like gasoline station, car wash, cleaning, and even service company. Okay. So once you decided kung ano yung interest nyo to franchise a business, I have here few brands na dinevelop ng RK Franchise Consultancy. These are just few brands ha. Under food and beverage franchise, as you can see on the first line, we have restaurant businesses, we have Jerry's Grill, Cafe Aquatica, Big B's. On the second line, we have the milk tea franchises. Okay, milk tea franchises are booming right now. Okay, so if you're a first timer na magpa-franchise, I suggest you have to get a milk tea franchises kasi mostly ng Filipinos parang everyday craving na yung milk tea. Okay, on the third line again, we have the food franchises. We have Hapchan, Sari, and Amare. Okay, on the non-food section, we have here few brands again. So as you can see, we have the Nutty Scientist. So si Nutty Scientist and Sip and Go is actually the same. They are edutainment, okay? Education and entertainment. And then we have the TNC, this is the net.com. On the second line, we have the Phoenix Gasoline. We have the Big Boss Group from Australia. We have the YTC or Your Tutorial Center. And then on the third line, we have the National Bookstore, Nails.Glow, and Good Hand as a retail. Okay, so what does a franchise provide? Of course, tatanungin niyo yan before buying a franchise. First of all, system standards. Okay, a franchisor must implement procedures, policies, and even system that every franchisee is operating the same way. Okay, second, we have the use of trademarks. So it's really important that before you actually decide to buy a franchise, you have to check first, okay? One tip before buying a franchise, you have to check first the trademark registration of the business. How are you going to check it? You can actually check it online through IPO web portal, or if you want an assistance, you can call our association. Okay, use of trademarks, a franchisor will let you use his or her trademark for a certain period of time. So it's really important na talagang nakafile si franchisor sa IPO. Okay, the third one, we have the experience and wisdom of franchisor. So pag sinabi natin experience and wisdom of franchisor, this is actually the beauty of franchising. Okay, you get to acquire someone else's experience, okay, someone else's expertise in doing the business and even the wisdom. Okay, so as a franchisee, you don't have to feel afraid, for example, in buying a franchise just because you don't have any experience or any expertise in doing that. Okay, your franchisor will guide you along the way. Next is we have the operations manual. Okay, so the operations manual, after signing the franchise agreement and while undergoing a training, a franchisor will give you a hard copy. Okay, take note, you have to receive a hard copy of the operations manual. So this includes the how-to documentation of the business operation and the implementation of the system. Okay? So normally, ang marireceive nyo lang na soft copies pagdating sa operations manual is yung forms. Okay? Forms for reprinting purposes. Okay, next is we have the training. Okay, part of the franchise fee also, actually these are part of the franchise fee, like from the use of trademarks, even experience, operations manual, yung training, it's actually part of the franchise fee na babayaran natin, okay, kay franchisor. A franchisor will have to provide you effective initial training regarding, let's say, yung system, standards, and operations. Okay, the length of the training will depend on what type of business are you going to franchise. So it depends if you're getting a food cart, mas mabilis yung training than getting a restaurant franchise. Okay? And your franchisor will actually provide you schedules of trainings. Next one, we have the site selection assistance and location approval. So you have to take note that mostly of the franchisors here in the Philippines don't usually provide location for the franchisee. Okay, so each and every franchisee has to secure their own location, but with all the experience, the franchisor shall have to, let's say, visit or to know where the franchise outlet shall be located. Okay. Next is we have the store layout. So when we say store layout, In franchising, we practice 100% uniformity of the loop. Okay? So your franchisor will provide you a store layout that you have to strictly follow. Though meron tayong mga type of franchisors na merong iba't ibang store layouts, excuse me, store layout depende on the type of, let's say, it depends also on the target market of the franchisee. So meron siyang tinatawag na kumbaga attitude look of the store. So pagdating doon, you have to work with your franchisor kung open ba sila for, let's say, changing the layout, or they have to provide you a specific layout. Next is construction supervision for some. Okay, either the franchisor will let you provide or will let you handle the construction for the business, or they will let you look for your own contractors. So depende yan with the franchisors. Exclusive territories, when you franchise a business, you also have to expect that your franchisor will provide you or will protect you with your target market. So normally, meron tayong sinusunod na radius when it comes to franchising. So yung radius natin would be around 500 meters, yung layo or yung agwat nung existing franchises. All right? So next is procurement program. So as a franchisee, you have to follow the procurement program. So this procurement program is actually a list of authorized suppliers and supplies, which yun nga, you have to follow. So pag sinabi natin procurement program, depende with the franchisor if it's all coming from them, or they will actually give a certain brand. Halimbawa, for a specific brand, if the franchisor is using the Tuputi soy sauce, then you also have to use the same brand. All right? So next one, we have the opening assistance. So pag sinabi nating opening assistance, as a franchisee, you should expect an opening assistance from your franchisor. Okay? That's part of the franchise fee na binabayaran nyo. And normally, magpapadala si franchisor ng isang staff to be with you, let's say, for the first week of your operations, to guide you, to assist you with your operations. Okay, marketing strategies, or normally, ito yung advertising or marketing programs to maximize the advantage of the common trade identity with nationwide advertisement, like TV or pwedeng television, TV commercials, or radio, or even kung yung sinabi ni Sir RK, meron ding mga through magazines, for example. So it depends. Okay? So as a franchisee, you have to pay a certain percentage. Certain percentage from gross sales, yun yung magiging share po ninyo para sa marketing fund. Okay? So, or advertisement fund ni franchisor in promoting the brand. Okay. Next is we have the research and development. So a good franchisor will always find different ways to make its network more successful. So as a franchisee, you have to follow strictly 100% written on your franchise agreement. Okay? So every genius in franchising is not actually allowed to come up with your own, let's say, recipes or even menus. Okay? So if you insist by doing it your own, or by coming up with your, let's say, menus, procedures, you might violate the contract. So it's really important that when you franchise a business, you have to follow strictly the do's and don'ts and the rules and regulations written on your franchise agreement. So what are the benefits of buying a franchise? First of all, receive a proven, profitable system for doing the business. So ito, baka magkaroon tayo ng complaints kasi na-experience namin ito. You have to know first, okay, before buying a franchise, kapag nag-inquire ka pa lang, malalaman mo na if the franchisor or if yung brand na yon is actually earning. Okay, the franchisor must present to you the target return of investment, or let's say yung profit and loss calculation. So doon pa lang makikita mo kung kailan ba yung target, yung payback period when I franchise this type of business. Okay, so it's really important for every franchisee to know kung kailan yung return of investment kapag magpa-franchise po tayo ng business. Okay, name recall. So imagine franchising a business which is really well known. Okay, you don't have to shell out another, let's say, sets of efforts or money just to promote the brand kasi yun yung purpose ni franchising. Okay, for the brand to be known, not just regional, pero mostly it depends on the franchisor, pwedeng national or even they even want to go out of the country. Okay, or pwede din globally. Okay, third, we have the less risk than independent startup. Less risk than independent startup because meron tayong time frame na sinusunod. Okay, so it goes like this. When you franchise a business, meron tayong mga flow or meron tayong mga steps na susundin before you can actually run your own franchise outlet. So with that step, meron din tayong sinusunod na time frame. Let's say, in a month or two, kailangan makapag-operate ka na. Kailangan makapag-open ka na ng franchise outlet. Okay, and less risk than independent startup kasi you don't need to shell out, let's say, additional money for trial and error stage. Kasi yun yung kagandahan ng franchising, subok na yung brand na ipa-franchise natin, and at the same time, ayun, you just have to follow the time frame before we can actually operate a franchise business. Okay, gain advice. Of course, you have to expect that your franchisor will provide you wisdom and even advice on how to run smoothly, okay, your franchise facility or your franchise outlet. Faster startup than independent business. Again, going back to less risk than independent startup, we do follow time frame, okay? Especially when you sign up with a franchisor and you have reserved, let's say, for example, a target location, we follow a time frame na kailangan masunod natin within the specific month or within the specific date. Halimbawa, kapag nagbigay na si mall ng lease offer, kailangan masunod natin yung opening. Alright? So, kung merong benefits, meron ding pitfalls si franchising. First, be a franchisee of a franchise system which is not professionally developed. It's actually easy to check if the business is properly developed. You can contact our association. It's Filipino International Franchise Association. And you have to be aware that those who are properly developed is actually a member. Okay, is a member of a franchise association, either FIFA or and even two other franchise association. They have to be a member. Okay, signing with a franchisor who does not offer training or has no operations manual. Okay, so it goes like this. When you sign with a franchisor, they have to provide you training. Okay, effective initial training, that is part of the franchisor na babayaran ninyo. So when you sign to the franchisor, you have to pay the franchise fee. Okay, so from there, bayad nyo na yung training, and you also have to receive a copy of the operations manual. So yung operations manual na to, again, ito yung magiging guide ninyo on how to run the franchise outlet smoothly aside from the franchisor who will be providing trainings. Okay? Third one, signing a franchisor who does not have a trademark for his business. So that's why it's really important for you to check the trademark registration of the business before you can actually franchise the business. Okay, fourth one, signing with the franchisor who does not deliver his promises. Or ito yung mga tinatawag nating scam. So usually yung mga scammers, payment of franchise fee. I'm sorry, this is franchise fee before reading the franchise agreement. So you have to take note that franchise fee is payable upon signing. Okay, upon signing the franchise agreement, it should not be advanced. It should not be later, but upon signing of the franchise agreement. Okay, so drawback of franchisees. Okay, so this is really a perfect slide for you. If you're planning to buy a franchise, first of all, payment of fees. Okay, be it a franchise fee, royalty fee, advertisement, for example, all the possible expenses that you need to pay in franchising, you have to be responsible. Okay, you have no choice but to follow all the payments included in the franchise agreement written, okay, written in the contract, I mean, and you have to follow also the procurement program. So when we say follow the procurement program, you are not allowed to buy from different suppliers, not unless inalaw ka ni franchisor. Okay, not unless may consent ni franchisor. But in franchising, ang practice, 100% it should be coming from the franchisor directly. Okay. On the third one, we have the egocentric personality. Okay, so when you have an egocentric personality, we suggest don't buy a franchise because in franchising, you have to follow the norms, the system standard attached to it. So again, if you will insist by doing it your own, you might be violating, okay, the rules and regulations written on your franchise agreement. Okay, so again, for those of you who are looking into buying a franchise, these are the initial franchise requirements that you need to prepare. First of all, you have to prepare a letter of intent, just stating the intention to franchise. And then next, you have to submit target location. Okay, just today, I have received a call na why don't you provide a location for us? So again, it's depende. Although it depends kasi may mga franchisors talaga na nagbibigay ng let's say target location, but mostly, okay, mostly it will be the franchisee to provide target location. Okay. Third one, you have to fill out a confidential questionnaire. So the confidential questionnaire will be coming either from us or from your franchisor. Okay. This is also a one way para ma-screen ni franchisor if the franchisee is actually a first timer, and also if the franchisee is capable of paying, okay, paying the franchise. Okay, so we also have here the steps to own a franchise. Meron tayo, wait, let me just check. We have 12. Okay, so number one, we have to request for a franchise kit or marketing kit. So normally it will be emailed to you. Okay, the purpose of having a franchise kit is for you to know all the details. Initially, franchise details, franchise offer na kailangan yung malaman before you can actually buy a franchise. Second, you have to fill out the confidential questionnaire completely, okay? May mga pasaway na franchisee na hindi nilalagay yung, let's say, reference o kaya yung annual income. It's really important for the franchisor to know your income. Okay? So from there, ma-assess niya kung talagang capable ka magbayad or capable kang mag-franchise ng isang business. Okay, and you have to send it to the franchisor together with your letter of intent. Okay, and then number 3, dito magkakaroon ng meetup and discussion with the franchisor. On the 4th, franchisor will evaluate your franchise application. That's after. Okay, that's after ma-discuss, and then after your meeting with your franchisor, saka kayo i-evaluate ni franchisor, okay? On the 5th, we have the approval or disapproval. In most cases, nadi-disapprove si franchisee because of the location. Okay? Pero hindi naman natatapos doon yung application natin. Okay, so when you disapprove, when your franchisor disapprove your target location, you just have to look for another location and then present it again with your franchisor. On the 6th, you will receive the copy of the FDI. So it's a franchise disclosure information. The purpose of receiving the FDI is for you to review all the necessary agreements or financials, franchise details, schedule of the trainings, para before you can actually sign the franchise contract with your franchisors. If you have any questions, concerns, or even clarifications, ma-clarify nyo na po, okay, with your franchisor. Signing of MOA and payment of admin fee. Okay, so when you sign a MOA, it's like a pre-contract. You have to sign a MOA. Normally, a franchisee is signing a MOA for him or for her to reserve a franchise. Okay, so signing of MOA, you have to pay upfront again the administration fee. And then after that, franchise location inspection and approval. So doon i-inspect ni franchisor yung target location, yung let's say yung target market, magkakaroon siya mismo ng survey. Okay, dun sa mga kapitbahay na mga businesses. Okay. On the night, we have the signing of franchise agreement, and you have to pay, of course, the franchise fee. And then we have the franchise facility setup, training for franchisee and staff, pwede siyang sabay with franchise facility setup. Okay? So, ayan, congratulations. Once you have completed all the steps before owning a franchise, then you will become officially a franchisee. Okay? So we also have the mistakes of buying a franchise, or mistakes of a franchise buyer believes that does not have to work and just collect money. Okay, so it goes like this. When you franchise a business, technically you are the franchise owner, or you are the business owner. And when you are the business owner, you have to take care of your operations. You have to manage it. Okay, don't expect that your franchisor will be the one to manage. Kasi ikaw ngayon nag-franchise, so dapat ikaw yung mag-manage ng business. Provided with all the trainings and provided with all the assistance, you have to manage your own franchise outlet. Underestimate requirements. So may mga franchisees na pasaway na, hindi, I can do it in my own. Hindi masarap yung timpla, for example, ni franchisee. And I would like to make my own milk tea, for example, milk tea flavor na mas masarap. Okay? So by doing that, you are underestimating the requirements. Remember that every do's and don'ts in your franchise agreement, you have to follow them all. Okay? Expect too much from the franchisor. Don't expect that your franchisor is like a babysitter who will be with you 24/7. I mean, diba, the relationship will continue, of course. The franchisor will guide you along the way. But going back to the first one, you have to manage your own franchise business. Okay, joining the bandwagon, ito yung fad. So you have to check also the consistency. Okay, consistency of the business kasi merong mga type of business na mabilis mag-boom, pero mabilis din mawala sa market. Okay, so in buying a franchise, you have to check the consistency of the business. And then I don't want to be the first franchisee is actually wrong. It's actually nice to become the first one. Okay, being the first franchisee, you can receive the TLC or yung true love care of your franchisor, and you might be let's say you might be experiencing, let's say, mga discounts na binibigay ni franchisor, especially kung mga first to second franchisee kayo. Okay? Last one, comparing franchise fee only to capital requirement. Again, when you buy a franchise, you have to look on the capital requirement. Okay? Not just on the franchise fee, but on the capital requirement. Okay, franchising during a pandemic. Several franchisors give special discounted rates during the pandemic. Okay, so it's 100% proven. Okay, so if you will be attending, or if you were able to attend our previous episode nung franchise hour namin, when our franchisors presented their franchise offer, they're mostly giving, let's say, 50% discount, and it's actually nice to grab those discount kasi let's say 500,000 yung franchise fee, and then they're giving 50% discount. So on the 250, pwede ka na mag-franchise together with the capital investment. Okay? You also have to take note pala na sa capital investment, normally included na yung franchise fee. Okay? Landlords are easier to negotiate, of course. May mga landlords, and even sa mga malls na nagbababa ng rent, na pwede nyong i-negotiate with your let's say franchisor, who will help you to let's say secure a space sa mall. Kasi usually kapag nag-franchise ka, especially inside the shopping mall, let's say SM or even other malls, magkakaroon sila ng meeting. Okay, they have to know kung anong type of business ang dapat may franchise, and they have to make sure na talagang magpa-franchise ka ng business. So that's why si franchisor will always be there to guide you, to present to the landlords na they're a franchisee, and if you can give them discounts, especially during pandemic. Okay, so mas maganda yung magiging agreement when it comes to renting a space or renting a location. Online franchise application procedures, although before, may mga franchisors naman tayo na gumagawa nito, but we have to follow the new normal. So online franchise application procedure, you have to expect, ayan, more meetings, let's say via Zoom, yun, palitan ng emails. But mostly when it comes to checking the locations, talagang magpapadala si franchisor. Pero ayan, yung approval, yung pag-check with the franchise applicant, it should be done online. Okay? How to detect a franchising scam? Okay, so meron tayong nilist down dito, too good to be true or yung mga unrealistic promises. Okay, so you don't have to believe on all the promises given by your franchisor. Okay, you have to, when you franchise a business, you also have to check kung talagang part ba siya ng inclusions. Baka mamaya part lang siya ng inclusions, pero kapag nagsimula na tayo mag-signing the contract, wala naman siya doon. Okay, so you also have to check with your franchisors. Once money upfront before signing a franchise contract, again, it should be upon signing the franchise agreement. Okay, so every payment, there is a franchise contract. Okay, na kailangan yung pirmahan. And then franchise contract below 3 years, from our experience and given by the consultant, yung franchise contract natin should be minimum of 3 years. Okay? Kasi we in as much as we want to share the system, we also want to make sure nakikita si franchisee. Okay? So baka mamaya niyan 1 year yung contract tapos 8 months yung return of investment. So what's the essence of franchising a business? So normally yung franchise contract natin should be minimum 3 years. And then franchise agreement, only few pages. You have to check with your franchisor kasi you also have the right to check the franchise agreement. But in RK Franchise Consultancy, yung mga developed under our company, yung franchise agreement namin usually from 28 to 30 plus pages, okay? And you get to review the franchise agreement once na ma-receive nyo yung copy ng franchise disclosure information. Okay, has no trademark. So again, it's really important for you to check the trademark application or trademark registration, I mean. So in our case, kapag may lumalapit sa amin na franchisor na hindi pa naka-file yung trademark, we make sure that we will be helping them, okay, in filing the trademark for their business. Okay, not a member of any 3 franchise associations. So again, once you decided to franchise a business, you have to check if they are a member of a franchise association. Okay, it's actually easy. Contact the franchise association and ayun, pwede nyo namang itanong kung talagang member sila. Okay, so you have to beware. If you are victimized by scammers, no government agency will help you, not unless properly developed po siya. Okay, kasi if a franchise business is properly developed, kung talagang magkaroon kayo ng problem in later time, si consultant mismo, okay? Not just the association, but the consultant itself will help you in dealing with those, let's say, problems with your franchisors. Although minimal lang naman ito, but we have to take note na nagkakaroon din talaga ng problems along the way, especially when it comes to, let's say, supplying. So that depends. Okay? Alright, so yung nabanggit ko kanina dun sa food and non-food franchises, those are just few of the brands that we have developed. But if you are interested in buying a franchise, you may look at the franchisors at this website. That's franchising.ph, www.franchise.ph, or through wefranchise.ph. So if you have any franchising needs, you may contact me. Okay, I'll be willing to help you, to assist you with any of your franchise concerns, whether buying a franchise or even would like to expand your business through franchising. So thank you very much for listening and watching my presentation. I hope you've learned something about how to select a franchise.
Thank you so much, Ms. Shey, for your excellent presentation. And before we go, I still show you a few slides what we can offer you and assist you with. First of all, you may want to get a copy of my book all about franchising. If you wish so, please make a note in Facebook and uh, and then we send it or send us a messenger, and we send you a free copy. It's a PDF format through your email, so you have to give us your email address. Like all companies which have been presented in the last 11 series of the franchise hours, all of them were developed by Aki Franchise Consultancy. So please feel free to call me or to call Shey or Reg. Our numbers are 8912-2946, 8912-2973 in Manila, and you get a complete franchise development. You can also read our magazine, Franchising PH magazine. The latest issue is online, the December issue, at franchising.ph. The magazine has 54 pages and gives you a lot of information and opportunities. So, the next season of Franchise Hours starts on January 14th, and we played the best three of the Franchise Hour Season 1 replay on December 10, 17, and January 7, 2021. So you can see the best three. Again, every Thursday, 4 p.m., except, of course, on Christmas Day and uh, January 31st, we don't have any franchise hour. So 10 and 17 and January 7, we have replays. And then season 2 with a new franchise hour starts Thursday, January 14 at 4 p.m. And if you want to learn more about franchising, you can also visit and subscribe our YouTube channel. We have around 20 seminars there. And you go to YouTube. RK Franchise is the name of the YouTube channel. So contact us, please, for all your franchising needs. Talk to Shey, to Reg, or to me. 8912-2946, 8912-2973, or Globe 0917-874-3620, 0933-864-2552. If you listen from outside the Philippines, WhatsApp, Viber, IMO, Potim, you can contact me directly at 63917-321-5235. In Facebook, we are RK Franchise Consultancy. Email rk@rkfranchise.com. And of course, assorted websites like rkfranchise.com, franchise.ph, franchising.ph, etc. And you can visit all our sites and our pages on Facebook. And we're here at the end of our franchise hour 12 of season 1. I'd like to thank all the visitors. Hope you learned something about franchising. And I'd like to thank Shey Lumbes for being my co-speaker today in this franchise hour 12. Thank you so much and see you soon. Next Thursday, 4 o'clock for the replay of season 1, episode 5. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye, sir.